Click the link in the description for your free AMSOIL catalog. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to some of our friends. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Search for them on Facebook. Central Minnesota Pond Racing. Search for them on Facebook. The historic Lancaster Motel for the ultimate Eastern trail riding adventure. Crane's Snowmobile Museum at 172 Main Street in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Vintage Snowmobile Club of America Quarterly Magazine. The Bridge Street Garage Racing Team, the house racing team of the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. The New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum at Bear Brook State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire. And lastly, if you decide to advertise with the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast, this could be your advertising message. Good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here. I have a robust lineup of vintage snowmobile entertainment on tap for you tonight, and we even have a live guest waiting for us in the green room. But before we get into all of that, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. So if you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to leave a comment. Please let me know where you're viewing this from and whether you are a first-time viewer or a regular viewer. Now, to our first-time viewers, if you're stopping by for the first time tonight, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a good time with us and decide to join us here each and every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We simulcast to 8 different places, so wherever on Facebook and YouTube. So wherever you're viewing this, in 1 week's time, circle back and we'll be here waiting for you for another episode of the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. Now, to our regular viewers who are here week after week and season after season, you are the ones who make this possible, and we thank you so very, very much for that. Let's take some comments and we'll bring our live guest on. We've got Roger Cormier saying, hello, everyone. He's a regular viewer from Winnipeg, Manitoba, eager to go riding with his vintage John Deere snowmobiles, and it's snowmobiles with an S, plural. He's hoping to do that very soon, and I hope that you're able to. That is wonderful news. If you're able to, Roger, if you're able to get some video footage of that, we would love to see it. If you manage to do that, just hold your camera horizontal like this for a wide shot. If you're able to get some cell phone footage, contact me behind the scenes, and we'd love to share that here for everyone to enjoy. We've also got someone on Facebook saying good evening from Eland, Wisconsin. We've also got David from Alaska Railroad saying, hello, Mike. Hello back, David. Thank you so much. I'm turning my cell phone down. I'm getting a echo. I think that's where it's coming from. because I like to monitor on the side here with my cell phone just to make sure that everything's working properly. So with everything out of the way, let's bring our live guest on. Here he is in the flesh, VALDI Stefansson. How you doing tonight, VALDI?
Thanks for having me, Mike. I enjoy these, and let's have some fun tonight.
Oh, for sure. We're going to have a blast, and hopefully the viewers will have just as much fun. And that's the whole thing. This vintage hobby is so much fun. And the thing that I like about this podcast is I see it as a way to hold a mirror up to the vintage snowmobile hobby so we can all see what people are doing and enjoy it together and become a community. And so far, I think we're off to a good start with it. But now VALDI has been very kind about sharing some footage with us. He's got a YouTube channel he's been working on, and there are links in the description. We can take a look at that, but we're going to take a sneak peek tonight. He shared some videos with us. Item number one is a 1965 OMC Johnson ski horse. You want to talk this up a little, VALDI, before we take a look?
Yeah, my interest in old snowmobiles started with the antique area. And, first year of anything, was collectible, I thought.
Sure.
And OMC, got into the game early. This is a 1965 model, and it has features and design stuff that, was ahead of the other manufacturers. So I wanted to have an example of one of those in my YouTube channel. Ski Horse is a green colored one. Many of you know that OMC also made a Skeeter. That's white in color. And when I found a green one that was original, I jumped on it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look at that and we'll catch up on the other side.
Okay, haha. Look what we have right here, a 1965 snowmobile. Now, something this old is actually classified as an antique snowmobile. And let me describe what I'm talking about here. In 1965, manufacturers were just getting into the game of making snowmobiles. We had Polaris, we had Skidoo, we had Arctic Cat. You know that OMC was one of the early pioneers in this manufacturing, and this is a first-year effort for them. This is a 1965 Johnson ski horse. Now, the parent company was OMC, Outboard Marine Corporation. Now, if you think Evinrude and Johnson Outboard Motors, we're talking about the same company. Now, here we had a company that was making seasonal equipment, that is to say outboard motors, and they felt that if they had a product for the off-season, when you're not boating, why don't we get into snowmobile manufacturing? The end result was the Johnson ski horse in color green. They also made that same year, same machine, just different colors, a white one called an Evinrude Skeeter, and up north across the border in Canada, it was called Snow Cruiser. Now, why did they jump into this industry so fast? Well, quite frankly, they had, the engineering, they had the two-cycle engine technology down by then. They had, marketing, they had dealers, they had distribution. So they got into it, like I said, rather early in the game. And I'm so proud to show you today a first-year Johnson ski horse. Now let's look at some of the features here. In this era, the manufacturers, many of them, were just getting into fiberglass hoods. And here's a case in point. The motor, come on over here and take a peek at this motor, is quite unique in that it was not an upright single cylinder. This is a two-cylinder engine, and the pistons are horizontal. the attempt, I think, was try to simply, get this to vibrate less. So single carburetor, but 2 cylinders, horizontal, and a clutch. The good news was that they had a neutral cutout. When you wanted to start this thing in the morning and the track was frozen, you simply pulled this knob here, and you could start it without the engine turning the track. So this is an example of a first-year effort, totally restored. This machine is correct in its configuration. It's in fact, it's ultra correct. It is as delivered. So with this first-year effort of Johnson, they had a few design issues. Let's just talk about that. And I wanted to describe a couple of corrections they make. I'll be polite and say corrections. When these machines came out, the dealers started to hear back very quickly from their customers that there was some flaws in this machine. The dealers immediately received parts to replace the bad ones from OMC and plopped them on these machines. So the hunt was on for a machine that was unchanged. That is to say, as delivered from the factory. And I think we see an excellent example here. So let's go around to the front of the machine here, and I'll talk about one of these issues here. Here. Look at this ski here. Okay, I'm going to wipe away the snow. Now notice that this ski is rather unusual. It has 2 of these channels in it. The problem was with that configuration was that there was no runners. And what would happen is users would go on hard pack or some try to travel over roads and stuff, and this all wore right out. So within short order, the factory sent replacement skis to all of their customers. The replacement skis were orange in color, as you can see here underneath the gas cap, that color. So it was not easy to find a set of skis that were in fact original and not all messed up. In this instance, the restorer put welded rods underneath both sides. So this is the correct ski for coming out of the factory, but it's been beefed up so that the problem does not exist. Now another issue will be found right here on the back side of the snow machine. And in effect, this shaft was immovable. That is to say, there was no scissors, there was no suspension on the rear axle. And that created a problem. These things would tear out. So again, the manufacturer sent out a repair kit. A repair kit was a piece of metal, paneling that went in there, and a scissors assembly. So I'm kind of happy to see that this machine has not had any of those upgrades. We can argue that it is as factory delivered. It runs, it drives, and I will also mention that this machine got a first place trophy at the VSCA National Show. It got a first place trophy in the National Show, and it was quite an honor for this old antique to win the top prize at that event. The other thing I want you to take a look at, come on in and you can see some of these details, is that the restoration included all of the decals, the stickers, if you will. And so this is extremely accurate when it comes to a presentation of this as-built machine. Okay, thanks for watching.
Yeah, Valdi, that is very, very impressive. It's a really nice example. And I like how you're saying too, it's originally delivered and not with the afterthought or modifications.
Yeah, proud to have it, and it like I said, it shows very well. That green paint isn't exactly correct. That is to say, that's a modern automotive paint job. The original configuration had a green hood and a chassis. They didn't even match. So I took some liberties when it came to the paint.
Yeah, it paid off. It looks really nice. And I like too the idea. You were mentioning that this is very early in the game. We're talking early to mid '60s, and I like that OMC saw that possibility there once the recreational uh, possibility of the snowmobile started to gain momentum. They saw that opportunity and jumped right on it. And as you said, it made sense for them to do that. Now they had something to do in the off season. They had the dealer network. They had the engines already refined. That was a no-brainer on their part, and it's great that they saw that opportunity and jumped on it.
Yeah, if you were an ice fisherman in that era, you wanted one of those snowmobiles. That particular snowmobile revolutionized commercial winter fishing up in Canada, where I'm from. It was just way better than those four-stroke predecessors.
Yes,
that was a quantum leap.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Let's see. We are on item number 2, and we have some announcements. And as I was saying here, the last couple of weeks, I've gotten way behind in my messages in the Facebook Messenger for the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers Facebook page. They've really been stacking up, but I've been going through them, and people are sharing images and comments and thoughts and questions with me. So during this section here, the announcements portion of the program, I'm taking an opportunity to put some of them on the screen and talk them up, and we'll take a look at them. And feel free, Valdi, to comment at anything we see here. So this is an image from Bill Mason. This is a mossed over snowmobile. I think I know what this is. Do you think you know what this is, Valdi?
That's a Bravo. That's a Yamaha Bravo.
Good
but
call.
It's a chemistry experiment. It's a biological experiment.
Yes, the test of time. And Bill also said it still runs, which is interesting. And I was thinking it might be that because I saw if you look close, there's a lowercase BR and possibly an A on the side of the hood there. So I did a little research on a Google search, and interestingly enough, this is about 83 or so. It's not quite the same model. I think it's probably a different year, but this has an uppercase B. So let's go back to that image. I don't know if the upper part of that B wore off, or if this is just a different year with a lowercase b. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is as well. I was pretty sure it was a Bravo. But actually, we've got a few comments coming in. Let's look at those, and then we'll look at a few more of these things that have come in. Now, David from Alaska Railroad is saying hello to Valdi, and he's wondering if you're still making the old iron videos. That's an excellent question.
Okay, I can answer that. The producer of the Old Iron video series kind of ran out of gas. You know what I mean? He just woke up one day and says, "I'm tired of doing this." We did produce 6 of these videos. They're full length, professionally done. They are for sale at the Top of the Lake Snowmobile Museum in their store. You can buy them in person. You can buy them at a swap meet where they're displaying, or you can they will mail them out to you. So that is your source for that those DVDs. I wish we would continue, but I talked to the gentleman the other day, and he says, "Look, I'm retired. I'm just too old for this, and no more."
Sure.
So
sure.
It was fun while it lasted.
For sure. I appreciate you sharing that. At least there's a source for that if someone is interested in acquiring some of those DVDs, and I'll pop that on the screen again. I just happen to have a graphic nearby for the Top of the Lake Museum. There's not a phone number on here, but if you just do a Google search for Top of the Lake Snowmobile Museum, I'm sure something will come up as far as either a website or Facebook page, phone number, or something like that. And we're going to be showing some footage from that museum here a little later in the podcast. But I do have some more images to look at. This is an image from Corey Murphy. He's got a 1974 Johnson JX400 with a 377 swap. He's also got a 1980 500 Everest with an Electro swap. And I don't know if that's a typo. I typed it just as he did. I saw Electro. I don't know if it's supposed to be Electro with a C. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but just really cool images that he shared with me, and we really appreciate that. And I'm going to go back and forth between that and some comments because we've got comments coming in. Got someone saying, "Hello, Mike. Great show. Thank you very much." We've also got David from Alaska Railroad saying he's paying a compliment on the ski horse. Our dear friend Judy Rinaldi, who has been inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, is saying hello, a dear friend. Also, from Platkill, New York, regular viewer. I think that might be Stacy and Art Fosler, but I'm not sure. For some reason, this interface, it doesn't always show the names, which is confusing. But someone else is saying cool sled. And also someone saying maybe a brute. And that is a good call. I had considered that, but let's take a look at that footage one more time. That third letter, if you look at the right-hand corner of the screen, it's either an A or an O. The top of it is closed. But yeah, good call. It could very well have been a brute. But
no, it's not a brute. Look at the gas tank, or that hose that shows how much fuel is in the tank. That is a Yamaha. Look at the handlebars. That is a Yamaha.
Sure. But good call, though. Thank you, though, for offering that suggestion. That we're in the ballpark anyway. And then we've got Jake Capeller. He's got a Suzuki here with a really interesting story. He says, how many of these do you see around? He says it's a factory twin front exit exhaust, bored 38 millimeter carbs, ported board, and he has the original cylinders, exhaust, and heads from the factory 395. Now, his grandfather had a buddy at Suzuki, and they tricked it out for him before they shipped it direct to his house. So this was done at the factory or wherever they were doing it here in the U.S. He says it's a 100-mile-an-hour sled in 1974. And he has the stock carbs too, and this is his project for the winter, and he's agreed to share some footage with us as that project progresses. But what do you think of that, Valdi? Any thoughts on that?
You don't see many Suzukis, let alone one that was hopped up, from the get-go.
For sure. That is a rarity, for sure. And I can't wait for Jake to share us some footage as that project progresses. We would love to see that. We've got another comment coming in. Oh, yes, and Darren Lumby. Darren, I owe you a massive thank you for what you sent me earlier in the week. I've been meaning to get back to you, and I'm going to do exactly that here in the next few days. He says that we make Thursday the best day of the week. Great show, and thank you so much. And thank you so very much, Darren, as well. We really, really appreciate that. Cool deal. And then just a couple more quick images, and then we'll get back onto the program here. But we've got John Seville. This is him when he was about 10 years old on his uncle's motoski, which is very cool. I mean, it's always nice to see these modern images of the older sleds, but there is absolutely no substitute for images from back in the day. That's how I feel. What do you think, Valdi?
Well, I like that smile. He's having fun.
Oh, yes. Ear-to-ear grin. Absolutely. And then one more image here. Mark Valent is looking for a 1977 Arctic Cat El Tigra. Wondering if there are any for sale out there. I don't have email or phone number for him, but if you search for him on Facebook, take a close look at the top of the screen for the correct spelling of his name and also that profile image. Do a search for that on Facebook and look for that profile image. And if you find that, send him an email as a way to contact him if you have a 77 El Tigra for sale, or if you know of one that is for sale. He would very much love to hear from you. Yeah, so that is all we have for the announcements. Let's see, we're on item number 3 now. Valdi has got some more footage from us. And by the way, there's links in the description to his YouTube channel. These are off of his YouTube channel. He's got a wonderful channel going over there. Once we're done with the podcast, go on over there and browse. He's got tons of videos. He's doing a really good job with that. But this is a 67 EATON'S snow track that we're about to take a look at. Do you want to set that up for us, Valdi?
Yeah, I am originally from the prairie provinces of Canada. And there were some unique sleds there. I'm from Manitoba specifically. Manitoba is just north of Minnesota, just north of Roseau, Minnesota. And in the late 60s, Polaris was assembling snowmobiles in Manitoba. They were doing this because they could reduce the amount of tax and duty, excise tax, I think they call it. So Polaris developed this assembly plant in Canada, and they were doing a lot of off-brands, private labels of their machines. And this is the ultimate off-brand for a Polaris. Its genesis is 66, 67 Polaris. You'll see parts that are from both of those years. Sure. And the brand here is called EATON'S. It's a department store. They had a big catalog. This is a catalog only machine. Now, why would anybody buy a snowmobile out of a catalog? Well, if you lived in far remote Canada, and there's a lot of native communities, Indians, Eskimos, they didn't have a dealer down the street. So these people were buying this stuff just based on a catalog, excerpt. And it was about as, the only way to get a snowmobile. So this is the case. The styling is interesting. So let's just watch and see.
Absolutely. It's a smart looking sled. Let's take a look. It's taking a moment to load here.
Oh, I should mention that a viewer mentioned this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I said, we'll show the video.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And it failed to load, so I'm going to try loading it again here.
Yeah. The viewer was from Sudbury, Ontario, of all places.
Cool deal. I do remember you talking about that. Yeah, we've got it loaded here. Let's take a look.
Hey, Vintage Snowmobilers, ever seen anything like this before? This is a 1967 EATON'S snow track. Now, who in the world is EATON'S, and what manufacturer were they? Well, as it turns out, they were not a manufacturer. They private labeled Polaris product. And at that time, in 1967, Polaris was actually assembling snowmobiles in a plant in Manitoba. Beausejour, Manitoba, you may have heard of. And the reason why was tariffs. But Polaris opened up this satellite plant up there in Manitoba simply to avoid tax. And at the same time, they commissioned some private labels, and this is one of them. EATON'S company was a very large department store in Canada. Think Sears in America. They had a big catalog. Everybody waited for that catalog to come and shop for Christmas and etc., etc. So as it turns out, in 1967, EATON'S approached Polaris saying, we want you to build a snowmobile for us. And we got to make it look different than yours. So this is the end result. This machine is what we call a catalog snowmobile. That is to say, it was not sold at any store or any dealer. This was sold by mail order only. Now, the T. Eaton Company up in Canada had a large following. Everybody got their catalogs, and including some very remote communities. You know, this is sort of like herders in America. Herders, sold mail order sleds to places where they didn't have dealerships. Well, this thing fit into that category. This is a catalog sled. And so what they did was they cobbled together a machine using some 1966 Polaris parts that were left over and some 1967 and created this unique style. All right? Of all things, look at this truncated hood and this cover over the engine. My God, I don't know what they were thinking, but that's what it turned into. Now, I always wanted one of these. I had seen one of these on the internet. Pierre Pellerin, who produced the 3-volume encyclopedia, is in Quebec. And he sourced one just like this out of Saskatchewan. So I went on a hunt. I went to Saskatchewan and said, does anybody know where one of these are? And I got a hit. There was a person, an old farmer in Saskatchewan, who had one of these. He drove me in his pickup truck, I'll never forget the day, to an old abandoned farmstead. And here it was laying in the weeds. We literally had to tramp down the grass to look at it. And I offered to buy it. It wasn't very special. It had been outside too long, but I offered to buy it. You know what? He said no. Because he knew that I was going to import that into America here. into the United States, and he wouldn't have for that. Don't be stealing our snowmobiles was his line. Well, the hunt continued. This baby came out of a town called Sudbury, Ontario. Sudbury, Ontario is in the Precambrian Shield area of the province. It is a very big nickel mining town. And I don't know how I found it. I can't even remember, but I brought it home and it was restored. So let's take a look at some of the features. Come on in, and I guess let's talk about this hood affair. As I said, very abbreviated, and then they built this cover over the hood. Now here is a 300cc Hearth engine. And, it was parts that were left over from the previous year. Now, this handlebar assembly, for those of you who know Polaris, will recognize as 66. This gas tank, 1966. The rest of this chassis appears to be largely 1967 Polaris Colt. So that's what they did. They were using up some spare parts. And in fact, EATON'S continued. The following year, in 1968, they marketed one called Viking. same basic chassis. It had a different hood. So let's take a look at it. Fully restored. This has got the traditional cleated center drive TRAC. So again, think Polaris. And here is our tag. Look at this. This is a Model 130, and it says manufactured by Polaris Industries for T. Eaton Limited. And I especially liked the hood decal. I took a photo off the internet and worked with a person, and we got the decal to come out. And here you can see this is 1967 Polaris architecture here. So this is a most unique machine. Now it has just returned from the NAUBINWAY Museum, the top of the lake museum, where it resided for more than 10 years on display. So it's just so fun to bring it home and give it a little exercise, get it out in the sunshine. And like I said, you'll be hard pressed to find another EATON'S snow track. Thanks for listening.
Very, very cool, VALDI. That is a truly unique machine and a truly unique story as well.
Yeah. Anyway, some people collect oddballs. I guess I'm the oddest ball out there.
Yeah, that is pretty unique, but yeah, very interesting. And there's a parallel there too. We were talking about OMC and the foresight that they had, to try to jump on that momentum that was happening with the recreational possibility of the snowmobile. Same kind of deal. EATON'S is up in the snow belt with this massive distribution network and catalog. All they had to do was just make the arrangements with Polaris, add it to the catalog, and just let it play out. I'm sure there's a little more to it than that, but you know what I'm saying? They just put it into their distribution network and let the magic happen. They were right on the curve. The curve was going just like this, and
in those days, 60s. At least where I grew up, everybody had to have a snowmobile. I mean, you were bugging your dad from October 1st all the way through Christmas, hoping for a snowmobile.
For sure. And who doesn't want a delicious piece of that pie, Yeah, for sure.
Even in the other communities, they were starting to use snowmobiles to fish and to trap and this sort of thing. This is just it was making their work. It was a work vehicle in those communities.
For for sure. And then you mentioned also that had been on display for quite some time at the top of the lake snowmobile museum in NAUBINWAY. That's a perfect segue to our next segment here. We're on item number 4, and I was in touch with Charlie over there a couple of months ago, and we did a live. He came on with his cell phone, and we did a live tour of the museum. And we're not going to look at the whole tour. We were on for over an hour, but I've got a segment here. Let me just a couple clicks away here, and we'll pull it up and take a look at that.
Here's a Bearcat made in Antigo, Wisconsin. Like 12 or 14 of those were made.
Yeah.
Here's a Snowbug. It was made in Sudbury, Ontario. This version is called the Love Bug, but because you sit side by side in it.
Sure.
They made different versions. Back on the wheel kit stuff here, this is a Scatmobile made in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
This wheel kit or the skis. So this was kind of your forerunner to the four-wheelers that we have today.
Sure.
And then you can see some over here. This is the back end of a Timberwolf. These 2 tracks. I'll go around the front of it also. It was made in Sioux, Michigan, which is 60 miles from here. They only made 8 of these. We know of 2. Okay, here's the front of it. It's called a Timberwolf. It's a cool sled. It was the pace sled at the Sioux I-500 in 1970. This sled right here.
That very sled.
That very sled, yes. I can show a picture. I don't know if you can see it or not. But right here is a real photo of it right there. That's Dr. Zabelka. That's the actual photo from 1970.
Wow.
Yes. I was telling you, they made 8 of them.
8 of them.
8 of them. We found this one in a rock pile. We have they made a race version also. Right here's the race version. I'll show you a picture of that.
Oh, yes.
That's the race version.
Yeah. That's
home in my garage.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's home in my garage. So we know of these 2 machines.
Yeah.
One and one in my garage. We also, I tracked one down. It went to a crusher in Sioux, Canada. Mm-hmm. And another one, Dr. Robinson in Sioux, it actually burnt in he had a garage fire and it burnt. So we know where these 2 are. We know 2 that were destroyed. So there's still 4 more left out there. Wow. It'd be cool. I've been looking. Can't find them. Yeah. Tracked them down.
We'll put it out there to the viewers as well. If anyone knows the whereabouts of any of these sleds, these 4 remaining sleds, please be in touch.
Here's this is what it was called, Timberwolf by North Sports, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Yeah. That's old photos from 1970.
Very nice.
And we took this around the Sioux I-500 track in 2013. We got it restored, and my granddaughter and I took it around the Sioux I-500 track. The Sioux I-500 track is the only 1-mile ice oval in North America. It's kind of cool. It's a 500-mile enduro race.
Yeah.
If people have heard about it, but here, I'll try. I don't know if this picture is going to show. Here's the original at the Sioux I-500 in 1970, and there's my granddaughter and I going around it.
Yeah.
2013.
Very cool.
Quite a project to restore.
I'll bet it was.
All right, where else are we at here? Here's a Foremost, JCPenney's Foremost.
Yeah.
You can tell it looks like an Artie Cat, but it was sold by JCPenney's and called the Foremost.
Very cool.
We got all kinds of stuff like that in here. Here's a McCullough, and right next to it is a Fox Track. You can see they're identical except for the paint colors.
Yeah.
McCullough or Fox Track made them for McCullough.
Gotcha.
Here's a Massey Ferguson. This Massey Ferguson here has got a lot better paint job on it than when it was new. The guy restored it and he did a beautiful job. Like I said, the paint is a whole lot better than they had when it was new.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. Right above, this is supposedly the smallest snow sled made. It's called a Wheelark, and right next to it is Ski Lark, his bigger brother.
Huh.
They were made in California by the Larkin Aircraft Company.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. I don't know. The John Deere helmet sitting there right by it too.
Oh yeah, nice.
You gotta have that.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, here's an original Autoboggan. When they were made in Canada, they were called Autoboggans and painted a wheat gold. And then right next to it over here is the same thing, but it was called a Polaris Snow Traveler. Painted different color, but this was Minnesota. This was Canada. Same thing.
So there were a lot of private labeling going on back in the early days.
Yeah, of course the catalog stores, they all did it.
Sure.
Home Light. I'm going to show you this Thunderbolt before I get out of this area. This is a Thunderbolt. Is one of 2 made. Yes,
wow.
Made. And we have it right here. Next to it is a shark, and there's here's an ambulance too. This is from a volunteer fire department, upgraded and got a new one. This is like in the 80s ambulance sled.
Yeah.
One of the girls that work here, actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like some guy laying in it someplace. That's what you don't want to be in. You want to. Yeah. We have the Model T before we get in the back section.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, Model T with a track conversion kit on it. And this is where the word snowmobile came from. This was in Ossipee, New Hampshire, is where this was made in 1917. Can't see it, but right there is the tag on it saying it. So it was called a snowmobile conversion kit. And then later years, they were made in Wisconsin. Snowbirdie and Snowflyer made them.
Yeah.
The different track conversion kits.
Sure. Yeah. So we are back, and yeah, thank you so much to Charlie Valier out at the Top of the Lake Snowmobile Museum for that amazing tour. That's just a few minutes of that tour. There's a link in the description if you want to check out the whole thing. But any thoughts on what we're looking at there, Valdi?
Oh, they've got a great website too. You should look.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
better than that, you should go to that museum. It is
Yes.
it's my personal favorite.
Nice.
And a gracious host. And anyway, it's the bomb. We've been talking about these catalog sleds. You saw a few in that video. Now, be aware that the Top of the Lake Museum puts on a show. Their winter show is in February, and their theme this year is catalog sleds.
No way.
Yeah.
That is cool. Very cool. Yeah, I wish I were in the area. That's too long of a drive for me, but hopefully somebody will be there with a video camera to take some video of that. We would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bucket list location for guys like you and I.
For sure. Now, Valdi, since you're familiar with that museum, there was a sled he went by quite a few times, and I never did get a look at it. It was yellow, but it wasn't a Ski-Doo, and it had these fenders on it, almost like it was a trike.
Oh, that was a snow pony.
Okay.
You know, snow ponies were little snowmobiles, and they made conversions. And that's an example of one. You know, you would replace a track with an axle and put two, ATV style tires in the back, and then one in the front.
Sure.
And snow pony.
So
there are not many of those wheeled snow ponies out there.
Yeah.
And that was impressive to see a couple of those.
Yeah, for sure. So that was fenders over a wheel kit.
Yeah, you would buy this kit. Yes.
Nice. Well, yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I appreciate that. And we do have some comments coming in. Let's see. We've got David from Alaska Railroad says he remembers as a little boy in the 70s seeing sleds in Sears and Montgomery wards, and at the time he wondered what they were. Cool deal. And then he said, awesome story on that sled. Someone on Facebook saying good evening and good looking museum. Cool deal. Now, before we shift gears, Valdi, any comments on the Top of the Lake Museum before we move forward? Or?
No, they've done a great job. They get a lot of support there. Of all places to find the best snowmobile museum is where it is. I mean, that's the magic of this thing. They've got a very dedicated board of directors. They have a research library. If anybody has materials that they're willing to give up, when one of somebody might die or something, and the widow was saying, "What do I do with all this stuff?" Send it to them, because they have a reference library that's going to be very important as time marches on.
Yeah, that'll be an
they
amazing
have programming there. As I said, it's just a recipe that works for them.
That is amazing. And one of these days, I need to make my way out there and visit it in person for sure. But cool deal. So we are on item number 5. This is another one of Valdi's sleds. This is a clip from his YouTube channel, to which there is a link in the description. Be sure and check that channel out after the podcast. This is a 1970 Motoski Grand Prix 634. You want to set this one up for us?
Yeah, found it in Saskatchewan, and this embodies the metal flake era.
Sure.
But unlike Motoski Orange, it ended up being gold. Wait till you see that, even the motor.
Sure. Well, let's take a look.
on that thing. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Hey, Vintage Snowmobile fans. Whew, that was an exhilarating ride. I think there should be a grass dragger. Introducing 1970 Motoski Grand Prix. Now, this machine was made in Quebec. This was one of the many companies that came out of Quebec in the 60s and the 70s. Now, this happens to be a 1970 model. Now, the area, well, first of all, Skidoo started production in 1960, and they did very well. What would happen is the communities within about, say, 100 miles of there, all got their Chamber of Commerces to fork over, find some investors, and a number of these Quebec snowmobile manufacturers cropped up. Think Snowjet, Boaski. Well, Bouchard Industries was another one, and they made this motoski. Later, motoski was purchased by Giffen Industries, and then ultimately Skidoo bought motoski, but that was much later. 1970 was kind of a heydays of snowmobile manufacture, and I wanted one of these gold-colored ones. Now, most of you know motoski to have an orange hood with a black stripe and a seat that is, what is it, light blue in color, with a white stripe down the center. Well, they decided to build a different model, their premier model would be a different color. And this is that machine. It is the Grand Prix. Now, when I found this one in Saskatchewan, I says, I gotta have it. Why? Because this monster motor, this was the largest motor of the time, 634 Hearth, 6970, that was the king of the hill there. And so I'm just so proud to have purchased this. Now, let me give you a sense of its history here. I cleaned it up and took it on a poker run here in Minnesota, where I'm from. And surprisingly, I went with a friend, and we went to the farthest distance on this poker run. I think it was about 12 or 13 miles out, and had lunch. And I remember when we came out of the restaurant, his wouldn't start. So I says, okay, Mike, there's plenty of people in there. You bum a ride back to town. And I says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this sled back the trail that we came on, and we'll meet at my trailer. Thank God he had another snowmobile on my trailer to ride the rest of the day. And wouldn't you know it, I beat him. He was on the roads, I took the trails, and I got there first. Oh boy, I still tease him about that to this very day. Now let's take a look at some of the particulars of this machine. First and foremost, this harkened to the metal flake era. This is a gold metal flake color, and so it represents that sparkle. Here you can see where the sun is casting how that looks. Now, this is not a survivor machine. Let's just say this: when I got this thing, I had to replace the seat cover and I had to replace the windshield. So that would disqualify this baby as being called a survivor. So it's kind of a nice original. Certainly too good to restore, in my opinion. So I have kept it this way ever since. So this has a 15-inch track. The track has got cleats on it, but the cleats are rubber. If you know motoski, you'll recognize that they had rubberized cleats, and there was a piece of steel, I think, in them, but it was more durable. At least the cleats weren't breaking like some of the other brands of the era. Now let's take a look at this motor in specific, 634 Hearth. Now most of you would recognize this motor as being blue in color, blue. And I have one of these in the Polaris variant, and it's a nice blue color. Motoski, their design people said, no, we can't have a blue motor with this paint scheme. So they bothered to have these Hearth engines delivered to them in this gold color. So it's got all of the features on it. Like I said, this is a machine I've decided not to restore. and but it's been a personal favorite of mine by virtue of its performance. So I just wanted to show you this today. I want to thank you for listening.
Yeah, that is a really sweet sled, Valdi. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
I was happy that the grandkids who were taking the video stayed with it, because when I made that run up the yard, it kind of pixelated, on your replay there.
Sure.
Scared the hell out of me. I tell you, I lifted the skis, and you saw how I was out of breath. I was worried that I was going to hit that tree.
Yeah, it's almost like watching grass drag.
Really a punch. I took that sled on a trail ride. I think it was a poker run. Well, I can't remember. Yeah. But all of a sudden, it wasn't going good. And here, I had ripped the secondary clutch apart. There's rivets, and all the rivets went out. I mean, the secondary clutch, I'm surprised it didn't explode, but that motor was that powerful.
Wow, really torquey.
That machine remarkably has performance.
Yeah, that is cool. And you can tell just the way it sits in there. That engine is a beast.
Yeah,
that is cool. Now, while we're on the topic of moto ski, while we're speaking here, I'm going to pop a link in the comments, not in the description, but in the comments. And this is a few months ago, I was looking through an old industry magazine. I think it dates back to about 71 or so. And it has the announcement of Bombardier's intention to acquire the moto ski. And it's got all the details as far as the price and a whole bunch of other things. And I've just pasted the link in the comments. So if anyone's curious about looking at that, it's a wonderful way to take a look at the details as that happened. It was news at the time. I think it was 1971, but I kind of having a senior moment on all of those details. But
it was after that, but
sure, maybe 72. I don't remember.
Those were low snow years. There was a lot of carryover inventory. Think of how many manufacturers just bit the dust.
Yes.
We're talking 74, 5, 73. It was just a big industry that just,
attrition. It just started
down
collapsing.
to a half a dozen. Now we're down to 4.
Yeah, for sure. And now we've got comments coming in. Somebody is asking, was that model called the MS-18? No.
That's a different one,
Something altogether different. Okay. And then Dan Skofich is saying, my very first sled right there. Very cool. Now, Darren Lumbie is saying, I always think of his 74 Herders whenever he sees one of those old moto skis. It's a beautiful sled. And then let me make sure we're caught up on all the comments. Here we go. Our friend Glenn Ford, who we met over at Old Forge, New York a few months ago, said moto ski built 7 ways tougher. And he's a big moto ski guy.
Yeah. And that was a heck of a slogan. They had an ad, and I think it was 72, where they rode the moto ski in the summertime down a creek, rock.
Yes, through riverbeds. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, my God.
And over hill and dale in the field.
This has got to be the toughest snowmobile ever. That's the way they're advertising it.
That was a powerful pitch, powerful sales pitch for sure. Cool deal. Now, before we go on to the next item, I don't want to forget our regular guy who's on here every week, Rob Hilditch. He's very good about being on here, but he's been under the weather. So he wasn't here last week, and he's not here this week. But we miss him very much, and we hope he gets better soon, hoping to have him back here next week to join us, because I'm sure he's missing it as much as we're missing him. So I didn't want to get through the podcast and forget saying that, because that is important. We've got a couple more comments coming in. Here we go. Josh Leverker is here. Colors were awesome back in the 70s. Absolutely. Especially the metal flake. A lot of the Scorpions had a metal flake too, which was really cool to see. And Dan Skofich is, I think, talking about the motor skis. They were tough. Absolutely. Cool deal. Now, we're going to hold on a second. We're going to go to item number 6. And I think we're going to skip number 7 tonight, just in the interest of time. But we're going to take a look at VALDI's 1974 Arctic Panther VIP. This is what that, I think it's the hydrostatic transmission. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, one-year wonder. This is different than most snowmobiles.
For sure. Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Well, it's March. Snow's almost gone. It's pretty sticky today. Hey, listen, I wanted to show you this machine. It's a one-year wonder. We only made it for 1 year. Now, this is what you would call an original snowmobile. That is to say, it hasn't been modified, no replacement parts put on it, no paint. In fact, this particular bad boy would actually fall under the category of a survivor. A survivor is a machine that really nobody has played with. So it is a 1974 Arcticat, and its model name is VIP. Now, I had this machine on display at a show one time, and a fellow came up to me and he says, you know what? I was an Arcticat dealer back in those days. This machine, this particular VIP model, was the most expensive consumer machine they made that year. He said that it was fully featured, and it was hard to sell for that very reason. You know, I think its retail at that time was $1,895, which was a lot of money back in those days. Now, why my interest in this particular model? It is because it has some pioneering elements to the Arcticat line. So let's get a little closer here and talk about some of that. Now, this thing has a very unique drive system. So let's open the hood here and okay, I'm sorry. Let's go around on this other side. Okay, now here's what I want to show you right here. Look at this. No drive belt on this machine. This says Cat-O-Matic. This is a torque converter automatic transmission, not unlike your car. And Arcticat wasn't the first one to do this. Quite frankly, Yamaha, was using it, but it really never had any legs. I don't mean to say it didn't work. It certainly does. It's a very linear flow when you hit the accelerator, but it just, it added weight and complexity. And Arcticat, in their wisdom, just said, no, we're not going to do it. Okay, some more features about this VIP. Of course, number one being that Cat-O-Matic drive, but looky here, electric start. That was a standard feature on this. I believe it's the first consumer production sled. There were some dealer installed electric starts. Also, how about this? Oil injection. So if Yamaha started in '69, it wasn't until 1974 that Arcticat put oil injection into a sled. This is a Kawasaki motor. What you don't see here, I'll just point it out, is a CDI. So this thing was absolutely, kind of feature packed in that regard. And a lot of people objected, to be honest with you, with the color. It was a chocolate or a dark chocolate color. And the Arcticat faithful, well, some of them took homage with that liberty, and I don't know if that hurt sales. I mean, people to this day say, that VIP was a miss because they went away from leopard skin and black, leopard skin seat and a black hood. Now let's take a look at this dashboard here. This has both cylinders have a temperature gauge. And that's working. You can see that I've been tooling around the yard here, and a working tachometer and a speedometer here. So this is an Arcticat VIP, and I just thought it would be a nice show. It's an unusual machine and very expensive, but alas, it only lasted 1 year. Hey, thanks for listening.
Yeah, that is a really cool sled, Valdi. Certainly top of the line for its day.
Yeah.
Now, to drive that, does that hydrostatic transmission give you any advantage over traditional centrifugal clutch?
No. I sort of missed the hit,
Sure.
when your clutch kicks in. It, like I said, it's very linear. It's almost like driving an electric car. You just press it and it goes, and
Sure.
it just didn't have any zing. It's
Sure.
it's a as I said, Arctic Cat isn't bragging about their VIP models. I just think that it's so unique that was the purpose.
More unique than anything. Sure. That's the big sell on it, is the uniqueness of it, for sure. Now we get some comments coming in. Let's see here. They also rode the motor ski on a Ferris wheel. I think I remember an ad for that as well. Cool deal. And then David from Alaska Railroad says, "Get well soon, Rob. You were missed." Absolutely. He absolutely is missed. And let's see. David from Alaska Railroad says he had a 74 VIP, traded it for a 76 Polaris TX. Cool deal. Now, Dan Scofich says most VIPs sat in the shop rather than on the snow. I imagine that would be the case. He also says the Yamaha Hydro was a much better design. We've got someone on Facebook saying great show. And then one final comment here, and we're going to wind down the show. We've got David from Alaska Railroad saying that the Alaska VIP sleds came with the original owner's name stamped on a plate on the sled. VIP stood for very important person. Cool deal. Now, does yours have a name stamp on it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No. Okay. So maybe when they sold it, they removed it or something?
Yeah. I got gypped.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it would be somebody I don't know anyway, so that's fine.
Sure. You should write a strongly worded letter to somebody.
Another flaw with that machine, of course, was that the motor, hooks up to that torque converter, sure, and the rubber seal leaks.
Oh no!
Well, I would put that thing away and have to put cardboard underneath it, because sure enough, there'd be 10 or 12 drips coming down. Sure. I've actually had to add Dextron to that tank once, because I just lost it up to the floor.
Wow, that's too bad. Yeah, so another example as to why it only lasted 1 year. Sure. And then we've also got someone on Facebook saying another great show, John Spranger, who's been with us since the very beginning. Cool deal. We thank you for that, John. All right, so we've come to that time of the program. Any final thoughts, Valdi, before we wind down the program?
No, I'm having fun. I added a new video tonight to my YouTube channel, and it relates to racing chaparral snowmobiles, and it's very visual.
Wonderful. Yeah, if anyone is viewing this is curious about there are links in the description to Valdi's YouTube channel. By all means, go over there, take a look. He's got some amazing things going on that channel. Very much worth a look.
Yeah, it's called Valdi's Old Snowmobile Information Factory.
Yes.
Is that for a name?
That's a good name. Cool deal. All right, well, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to wind it down. As always, last word goes to AMSOIL. And thank you, Valdi, for coming on. Thank you also to the viewers. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you guys in 1 week's time. Hello, everyone. This is Rob and Mike. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing good. Mike, yourself?
Very well. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Now, today, we're going to be talking about AMSOIL. And in a few moments, we're going to show you how you can get the deepest discounts, free shipping, and free gifts when you order your AMSOIL products through us. But first, I'm going to ask Rob to give you a quick description of what AMSOIL is and why you should consider using AMSOIL products in your motorized vehicles.
Thanks, Mike. AMSOIL is 100% synthetic oil. Everybody uses AMSOIL for a different reason. Some people like the benefits that AMSOIL is warranted for 25,000 miles or 1 year. The reason we can do that is because AMSOIL doesn't oxidize. It doesn't form the usual carbons, gums, sludges like petroleum oils do. That's why we can keep it in the engines longer. Petroleum oils never do wear out. They oxidize themselves. That's why they have to be changed at 3,000 kilometers. And AMSOIL likes the benefit that you only have to change the oil once a year. That saves some money. Some of the people like the benefit of AMSOIL is it's a slipperier type lube. By having a slipperier type lube, it cuts down friction and drag. By less friction and drag, engines run 20 to 50 degrees cooler, better gas mileage. Now, AMSOIL says 25% more protection than the industry requires is in the AMSOIL bottles. My average customer gets about 10% increase in gas mileage. That's a big savings.
Yeah.
And by cutting down friction and drag, for every 10 degrees you cut down the friction and drag, doubles the life of the engine. So by having the engine run cooler, it makes it last longer. Some people like the benefit of the range of the AMSOIL. AMSOIL's flash point is 425 degrees, and it pours at 50 below zero. If you ever tried petroleum oil when it's 10 below, it turns to honey. And in the summertime, petroleum oil thins out, and once it thins out, that's when it starts breaking down. So AMSOIL's an all-season oil, can give you better gas mileage, longer engine life, less maintenance. It ends up being cheaper over a year's time running AMSOIL than it is petroleum oils.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And AMSOIL is available for pretty much any motorized vehicle, anything from lawn equipment, cars, trucks, boats, ATVs, motorcycles, snowmobiles.
Yep, yep. And a lot of people phone me up and say, well, what's the benefit of our gear lead? Exactly what I told you about the engine oil. It pours in cold weather, it runs cooler, makes the equipment last longer. And they say, well, what's the benefit of the small engine? Same thing. Makes the engine run cooler, last longer, better performance. So it saves on all the applications that AMSOIL has available.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, let's talk now. Hopefully this has convinced people to think about maybe joining us in the AMSOIL experience. Let's talk about some of the discounts and free shipping and how that all happens. I'm going to pop a graphic on the screen, and yeah, by all means, if you want to talk people through how this preferred customer program works.
AMSOIL has a number of different programs. One of our main ones is a catalog customer, where somebody can order directly out of our catalog. If they order out of the catalog, they order $100 worth, AMSOIL will ship it right to their house. But our best program is our preferred customer. For only $10 for 6 months, you become a preferred customer. You save 25% on all the product. You order $100 worth, they're going to give you free shipping. You don't have to order a whole case. You can mix and match. Say you want 4 bottles of small engine, 7 bottles of 5W30, and a couple of gear loops. You can mix and match. You can order 1 bottle at a time if you want. There's no minimums, no maximums. By being a preferred customer, you save over 25% on all the products you're going to buy. AMSOIL sends you extra gifts, $5 gift certificate on your birthday, $5 when you renew your account, stuff like that. So it's a good way to save on some of the products you want to buy.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's an incredible value, and this is the deepest level of discount that anyone can get when ordering AMSOIL. Is that correct?
It is. It is.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's take people through the step-by-step experience of placing an AMSOIL order. Then that would include signing up for the preferred customer discount, preferred customer program, so they can receive those deepest levels of discount. So let's go to the website. This is what the website's going to look like. These are some screenshots. Once you go to amsoil.com, there's a link in the description, or you can just type that into a browser, amsoil.com. This is the page you land on. At the upper corner of the page there, you see how I've circled in red. That is the link to click, the Join Now link. That will take you to the preferred customer program page, where you can take advantage of all these discounts and free shipping and everything that we've just been talking about. This is what that page looks like. In the lower right, you're going to click Join Now. This will pop up. You select the duration you like, whether it's 6 months or 12 months. Click Add to Cart. Now, once this pop-up goes away, we'll be back on the main page. And the upper left, you'll see where I've got that red arrow that says Shop. Now you can start shopping for products, and on your very first order, you're going to get these discounts and the free shipping as long as it's over $100. You get all of these benefits right away. So once you click Shop, it's going to take you to the product page. There's different types of oils, lubricants, so on and so forth. For the benefit of this exercise we're doing now, I'm just going to click motor oil. It shows different types of motor oil. Let's click gasoline. Now this takes us to an item. There's synthetic motor oil, and you can see the item there, and there's choices for different viscosities. But take a look at the price. Let's take a closer look. Let's zoom in. But if you've joined the preferred customer program first, you're going to automatically get the deepest levels of discount. That's what we're looking at here. You're saving $3.80 on that quart of oil. Instead of paying $16.29, you're now paying $12.49 for that quart of oil. That is the deepest level of discount you can possibly get. And then you just add the quantity that you'd like. You select any other items that you're thinking about, add them to the cart. And once you click Add to Cart for the final time, you're going to see this come up at the top of the screen. It's going to show your items and the total that you're at so far. Pardon me. And then you just click View Cart in the upper right, and that'll take you to your cart. Take a close look here at the upper right. That blue box shows that you're getting free shipping. You're eligible for free shipping on this order because it's over $100. That little yellow box shows that you've got the preferred customer membership on your order that gives you the deepest levels of discounts for the next 6 to 12 months. And then below that, you've got the items that have been selected. For the exercise here, I selected 9 quarts of the signature series, but that brings us up over $100 for the free shipping. We're saving $34.20. And if you're ready to finish, you click Checkout Now, and that takes you to this screen here. If you haven't signed up with an AMSOIL account at this point, just click in the lower right to create an account, create a new account. It's going to ask you for some basic information, name and those types of things. Now let's take a closer look. You'll see this gray shaded box. This is a very important box. This is going to ask you if someone has referred you to AMSOIL. And if so, please enter my name. My name is Mike LaPierre. It's spelled right there on the screen for the correct spelling. And also the referral number, 304-555-94. That's how you make sure that Rob and I get credit for this. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I have signed up for AMSOIL under Rob. So when you order using this referral number, Rob and I both benefit. So if you enjoy these podcasts that we're doing, this is a wonderful way to support the podcast, because when you order using this referral number, Rob and I both benefit. And the commissions I make go directly toward offsetting the cost of doing these podcasts. So I thank you in advance for that, for using my referral number. I very much appreciate it. And once you've done that, you just go into the next screen to enter your payment information, and you're done. Now, once you've placed your order that's over $100, and that order includes your AMSOIL Preferred Customer Program, you are now eligible to get a free DVD from myself. Now, this is going to be either a muscle car DVD or a vintage snowmobile DVD. Use the email address on the screen, wkspodcasts@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know which DVD you would like me to send you, the muscle car or the vintage snowmobile DVD, and I'll get that right out to you. As you're typing in that email, in the subject line, be sure and type in capital letters "free DVD requests" so it stands out as I'm checking my email, and we'll get that right out to you. So I guess the last thing, Rob, that we wanted to talk about is if someone is considering AMSOIL as a business opportunity.
Yes. If anybody has a retail or a commercial account and they would like to buy directly from AMSOIL, just send Mike a line. He'll show you how to set up and you can buy directly from AMSOIL. But if you are interested in starting your own part-time business, a part-time business that can grow into a full-time income, Mike and I will show you the AMSOIL marketing plan. AMSOIL has a large selection of products that cover almost every application. So it doesn't matter if you're into snowmobile, boating, or ATVing or hot rods, we have an oil for every application. It's a fun type business that's I really enjoy doing. Where else can I go and have fun and make money doing it? And Mike and I are here to help you all the way along. If you need any help on how to promote or to find new accounts, we're here to help you.
For sure. So when you sign up under that number, this 304-555-94, you're getting Rob and I as a team. Now, Rob has been doing AMSOIL for 40 years. Can you believe that? 40 years. So he knows every aspect of this business, and he knows all of the ins and outs of the products. So he'll be able to help you with any kind of product questions or any kind of questions to show you the different business models that you can do with AMSOIL. And then the other thing that you get when you sign up under me is I've got a strong background in social media. So if you need some coaching on how to generate AMSOIL leads using Facebook and YouTube, I'm happy to coach you with that when you sign up under Rob and I. You get both of us as a team to help you, to coach you, to support you, whatever you need to get you off and running with this business and having fun with it. Like Rob said, it's an enormous amount of fun. If you're like Rob and I and you enjoy going to any kind of boat shows, car shows, motorcycle shows, snowmobile shows, anything with a motor, you like going to those shows, those events, those races, this is a great way to turn that into a income opportunity for you.
Yes. And just by wearing my AMSOIL hat at one of these events, people come up and ask me about AMSOIL. People don't know where to buy it, and I'm there to help them, show them where they can buy the product.
Perfect. Well, cool. Well, this is great. Any final thoughts, Rob, before we wrap it up?
AMSOIL's a fun business. AMSOIL's been around since 1968. It was the first synthetic oil to be AI approved.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's very early in the game too, isn't it?
Yes.
For sure. Well, good. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for viewing. Hopefully, we've gotten you excited as we are about the AMSOIL products. We'd love it if you could join us either as someone who uses the AMSOIL products or to join the AMSOIL team as a business opportunity. And we thank you so much for viewing. Have a great day.
You have a good day.